Imperfect Gentleman Show.
I'm sorry I'm like speaking with like a slur. I just left the dentist and now I feel I've never had a stroke, but I imagine no, never.
Are we laughing at a stroke?
No, stroke's not funny. Stroke's not funny. The fact that we talking like
and it's not funny, and yet I'm talking like this. Like, so maybe it's not funny because I've never had a stroke. However, every time everyone leaves the dental office, y'all can't tell me you act like this isn't how it must feel.
Why can't we leave the dental office happy? You know what? Two things happens when you go to the dental office, right? Your bank account gets cleared and you're in agonizing pain. Why can't we just have a pleasant experience?
Well, when they give you the drugs, that's when you leave happy.
Well, they stopped doing that. There's like this new law for the painkillers.
It's not about new laws. All these people were going to jail after the Michael Jackson shit. Nobody wants to give you nothing. Like, niggas is afraid to give you aspirin. Like, I don't know if you want to. Like, take it on your own. But we do have two amazing, wonderful, intelligent, and lovely guests in the building. As always, to George's right.
I'm Shanelle.
That was very anticlimactic. And of course,
hi, I'm Tiarre.
And that's who is in the building. And just to get a little background on you two.
Did I get to introduce myself?
I mean, do we not know us?
You got to introduce yourself, Toronto. I know it's 2018. We ain't famous yet, bro.
We're right back to me. I am the impeccable, impenetrable Toronto Von Gossary alongside
GK Supreme. If you're wondering what GK stands for, it's good karma.
That's why you wanted
Rest
to do
in
this.
peace, Harambe.
No.
Rest in peace, Cecil the Lion.
No.
And guess what, yo? I'm 110% vegan now. Woke.
You know what? There's a lot of people who are dead that probably deserve to rest in peace. But we are the Imperfect Gentlemen.
Hold on, no, we are, and then I say Imperfect Gentlemen. You just want to steal the lines.
Actually, we say Imperfect Gentlemen.
We do, but even though it's kind of weird,
say it.
You just like, you're supposed to say it in a question form.
We are question mark.
Gentlemen.
I don't know who we are. All right,
Imperfect Gentlemen.
And our guests in the building, if you can give us a little background on yourselves so people can get a little.
Well, okay, I'm Tiarre. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I have to throw that on there.
Chicago, Illinois?
Illinois, not with the S.
Nobody
People
knows
put S on the end of Illinois.
Chicago's in Illinois. Illinois is the most irrelevant part of the term Chicago.
I'm going to throw it out there, though. Just because I want people to know that there's no S on the end of that motherfucker.
Okay.
Yeah, Illinois. I am a writer and stand-up comedian, country niggas. And so, yeah, I'm out here just pursuing purpose. That's it.
Pursuing
I hate
purpose.
niggas. And,
okay.
I'm just playing.
But she's not, though. But she's
I'm
not,
so
though.
not. And you picked it up.
Yeah.
Animosity, yo.
I'm from England. I've lived in the States for 11 years. I'm here.
I feel like you faked the accent now. I didn't hear an accent when you first started out.
Well, I've been here a minute.
Yeah, you're turning it on and off. You are.
I'm purposely turning it on and off. Like, I can't, like, this is my life.
I better not find out you're from London, Compton. Like,
I'm about to Google that.
I know. I was like, really?
Like,
London, Compton?
London, Compton.
No, I'm from London, England. Yeah, but I lived on the East Coast for a while, and I'm here, you know.
So, like you said, you lived in the East Coast for a while. Mm-hmm. Was that as drastic as a change from London as California was, or did it feel like almost like an extension of home on the East Coast?
A little bit. It definitely feels closer to home. It's just extreme. Like extreme weather, extreme conditions. Everyone's sectioned off racially. It was a bit weird, but
in LA, people are sectioned off racially?
No, I mean in New York.
In New York.
Living on the
You don't
East
feel like in
Coast.
LA they are?
LA is Mexico, so no.
I feel like LA is very much, if I say Compton, you automatically assume black people. If I say East LA, you automatically assume Mexican people.
I assume Mexican all throughout LA.
Not in Beverly Hills.
I mean,
like, you don't assume Mexican in Beverly Hills or Brentwood. That's definitely very
I
much.
would assume it would be white and Persian.
Exactly. So I feel like it's sectioned
like,
off here.
Depending on where you live in LA, like you could live in Koreatown, you could live in North Hollywood.
Koreatown has a lot of Mexicans.
Studio City, and it's quite mixed. Like, we are everywhere.
I disagree. LA is not very diverse as people make it out to be. I feel like Chicago, even in a sense, is segregated by, you know, your ethnicity, not so much your economic background. Like, New York is more about economics, where you can afford to live. LA to me isn't a melting pot like that. It's not as diverse. That's my opinion.
I think.
What did you feel the same way about DC, George?
I felt like in DC, right? Well, New York, for one, there are a lot of sub communities, so they do call it the melting pot to me, it's more of a mixing pot. Like the things don't really melt together. They don't fuse, but it's a lot of different sub-communities. Of course, the obvious Chinatown. And then in the different boroughs, you have like the sub-communities of Puerto Ricans or other ethnicities, Arabs. Sorry, I just have to say that funny
And then
because
you
I'm
got
Arab.
the
It's just hilarious.
gentrification that's bringing the white people
Right.
into those areas now.
Exactly. So the gentrification is actually in New York. It almost seemed like before the whole gentrification thing, you could almost go to like different neighborhoods and almost know what ethnicity would be there. Whereas like the city of Washington, D.C., did you venture down there on the East
I
Coast?
did. I went to DC a couple of times.
Oh, cool. So in D.C., I felt like, especially in the suburbs of D.C., it was more intermixed. It was more like truly diverse, more of a melting pot. But when I came out to...
I never got a chance to see that at Howard.
You never saw it at Howard?
Straight on Georgia Ave.
Howard, yeah.
But black folk.
Black folks and gorgeous people at Howard, might I say.
Yes.
Might I say. Awesome homecoming parties. And then the thing for me is, and that's my question too, is like I came to LA, I believe I saw less intermixing almost. There were more like large areas, whereas New York, it was pockets. Like you were saying, like Beverly Hills, it's mostly like white or Persian. And then you go to like Compton and it's mostly one thing. You go to East Hollywood, it's mostly one thing. So my question was, is it similar in the US? We feel like we almost segregate ourselves in these communities. Do you see something similar in London?
Well, first of all, I haven't lived in London for 11 years. So
Wow.
my
Substantial.
experience of what it was then is completely different from what it is now. But I remember when I was growing up, I lived in areas which seemed, and I'm from East London, so it was
Is that the more gangster part of London?
definitely not. It's
Because it
just
sounds gangster like East London.
East Side?
no,
East Side?
definitely
East
not
Side?
gangster.
Hello.
But you know, if you deal with English people in general, they all think that they're rough and tough. Do you know what I mean? You can't tell us nothing. But you know, when I was growing up, I remember my area being very white, and then a lot of Indian people came in, and then the African wave came through. So now it feels a lot more mixed. But even now, when I go back to London, it feels very European. Like I don't know where the black people hang out. I don't know where they go or anything. It's like I don't feel that connection to my West Indian roots that much. Whereas before, it was like, okay,
Well, considering that London has the most mixed couples in the world, that's the whole concept. Do you feel like you have a less of a faux pas dating someone outside your race?
if you know me, that's not something I would do
Yeah.
at all. So
Because you hate white people?
I do not hate white people.
Because every time you start dating a white guy, you think of slavery and how they... Okay. Did I do too much?
It's just
Teron,
not-
tone it down a bit.
Did I do too much?
Level 15, I swear to God.
Like, oh, you're enjoying that, John? Huh? The same way Thomas Jefferson enjoyed raping Sally? Like, it felt like that.
Is that like the
No,
2018
I
energy?
think when I was growing up, I remember
specific.
I had a
Sally Hemings?
an aunt who was like around my age, and she had this thing about wanting to be white, and it always was very off-putting to me because I didn't understand. And that's when it was introduced to me that being black was something that was different or awkward. And then growing up, it was like the mixed race girl was pretty and stuff like that. So it was like, for me, I have such pride in who I am and where I come from. It's almost like the rebellion to just be like, no, I'm sticking with my people.
When you said you observed your aunt wanting to be white, what were some of the symptoms of that?
Well, in the part of London she lived in, it was all white people. And then when you look on TV commercials, it was the blonde hair and the dolls, the white dolls, and that was all
Do y'all
that
have
was
like
presented
Panera
to
and
you.
Starbucks in London?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. That's just racist. Listen,
They have Starbucks.
I imagine your aunt like putting on so much white foundation just trying to pass.
She's not like that now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that was like when we were kids. But yeah, it was rough.
The
Here, would
blacker
you-
the berry, the sweeter the juice.
It depends. Sometimes blackberries are just rotten berries.
They're sour as shit.
I know. It's like,
There's always a bad apple in
But
every
you know
bunch.
who
just in
believes
there.
that? Is Tiarre believes that. She's
Can
all
I
about dating
quote
dark.
Tupac in peace?
This is true. I love dark chocolate men. That's my thing. That's
And
my
no
joint.
one would call that racist because you have a preference for darker men.
I do. My daddy's chocolate. Like it's an affinity for me. I think it's beautiful. Yeah.
And would you ever date a white man?
I haven't. Not really. I wouldn't say that I'm not interested, but I just feel like there's a nice fluidity that goes with me dating someone, of my background.
But that's interesting to me that we live in a world where we have to think about these things.
I think it's a subconscious thing. I just think it's a level of attraction. Like, to me, it's just who I'm attracted to, and I'm attracted to the melanin.
So, but would you ever date a white guy? Like, if a white guy just had all the swag in the world and was like on his Channing Tatum and just like
I mean, I
walked
feel
up.
like we got a better example than Channing.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
I mean, there's so many other better examples.
who's a better example of
I would even take Tommy off of Power. I don't know, like the character.
Tommy
I think the
off of
guy who
Power?
plays
Nah,
Thor-
that lets me know what kind. The only reason you think Tommy's cute is because he's on Power.
Yeah, I'm not gonna deny
He
that.
wasn't on GQ cover
gonna
magazines
deny
before
that.
Power.
No idea
Like,
who that
Deny
is.
that.
No idea.
I would, but I don't foresee that. But I would be open.
So, like, growing up, like, your crushes in Hollywood and stuff, were they all dark men?
No, I mean your taste changes. I had crushes on like immature, like Marcus Houston, and like little things like that in that era. Like I can't recall like. I never fascinated about, dreamt about Seal or any niggas like that. Like, he definitely wasn't on my vision board.
Seal is, I don't know what it is about Seal and white women, but bruh.
He pulls them.
Yeah, I've seen him at
But don't let the stars fool you.
my first, like, this is so weird you mentioned Seal. My first cassette tape I ever
Oh, I
got
thought you were going to
was
say your first
Shut
crush.
up.
I thought you were going to say
Yeah,
your
this is
first
gonna
crush.
take an interesting turn. Like, oh, really?
My first, well, two first
Was it
cassette
Kiss by
tapes.
a Rose?
Kiss by a
There's
Rose,
there's
Kiss by
the
a Rose.
top three. The first one I got was the Lion King soundtrack on tape. That was Lion King's my favorite movie of all time. The second one I got was Seal, Kiss by a Rose.
Hilarious.
And the third one,
Batman
I
soundtrack.
wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was
Wow.
a baller.
Skipped
I
over the
wish I had
whole Jock Jam era because Jock Jam was
So
popping.
this
Jock
is the
Jam.
difference between George and I summed up in cassette tapes. Your first cassette tape was the Lion King soundtrack.
Yeah, it's popping.
My first cassette tape was the Jodeci Wu-Tang remix of Freaking You. And that's the best song ever made. There was a band called Jodeci who's the best R&B group of all time. And then they
Debatable.
combined with Wu-Tang, the best rap group of all time. Can't tell them. And then they made a song together. And the chorus was, every freaking day and every freaking night, I want a freaky baby. Your body's so freaking tight. That's amazing to me. Lyrical poetry.
I don't know. I think I got
Shakespeare.
you top though. I had Uncle Luke's Doodoo Brown. That was my first.
Okay.
cassette.
Doodoo Brown.
Brown.
Doodle Brown. To the
I know
left.
the song.
To the left.
I know the song,
That's
but
Tootsie Roll.
Whatever. They're all the same
No,
song.
Yo,
it's
did he just
not.
bust out the Tootsie Roll?
They're all the exact same song.
No, it's not.
Yes, they
They're
are.
kinda close,
They were
aren't they?
all the exact same song.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. There was a whole era.
I rebuke that.
There was an error
I don't
about
have
that.
to accept
You got
that.
rebuked, bro. You got rebuked.
I rebuke that. And I don't have to
interesting. I was listening to like
She used that anti-demon talk on there. She was like, I rebuke you. Satan.
You
How
rebuked
you
that.
doing?
So that's the kind. What was your first cassette tape?
I remember listening to like I wanted to say Aretha Franklin, but that ain't it. I can't remember her name right now.
I mean, Aretha's arguably the
No,
GOAT, so that was a
ain't
good
it. I'm
answer.
talking about like I can't remember her name right now. It's gonna drive me crazy. But then I remember my mom. I listened to what my mother listened to. So
Oh,
it was
so that-
like
what
Lil
was the
Kim.
first
When
one you
Lil Kim came
received?
through, it was
Like
I
someone
remember
actually
just
gifted
giving
you.
me. I remember I had this English group called E17. You guys are not gonna know what that is.
Oh my God, E17.
E17.
Oh my God,
Shut
they,
up.
they had a song. They're hello, hello, hello. Wasn't that?
You
That
know
was
what?
like-
I can't.
That was like the boot. That was a bootleg E40.
I was a huge 3T fan.
Okay.
What was the
3T
name of
was
that song
my-
again?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello,
They weren't that
hello,
bad.
hello.
Yeah, 3T was a big deal for me. But then
Ballin' like we bollocks. Yeah, that was a great
Balling
song.
like we bollocks.
Yeah, I'm
Bloody
chill. We're
hell.
chill.
Oh, you know
East
what always
London. They're from East
fascinated
London.
me?
They were from East
What
London.
They were definitely
fascinated
from
me,
East
and
London.
in your defense, like England has some really poppin' singers, amazing vocalists. What always fascinated me growing up is you hear them speak when they get an award or a news interview, and then they have like this heavy English accent, but then they sing and it sounds like Britney Spears, and I never understood.
Because music in England is so influenced by America. So they're like, okay, this is how it sounds good. In my mind, that's what the reason is.
So y'all are like some swagger jackers, like
Probably. Well, the y'all part I don't like. Don't put me in there.
oh
No,
my
no, no, don't talk black now. Don't be like, yo,
What's
I
talking
don't
black,
like.
by the way? Because when I wake up, I'm black. So
Okay. And you know what?
Oh.
I get that. And if my name was John, like you, that would work. But with me, nah. You know exactly what I meant.
no, I
you
don't know what you
understand the
mean because
colloquialism,
no matter how
and you
I
do.
speak, I am black.
Sure. And
Yes.
yet Ben Carson is
Well,
a
that
sellout
doesn't-
bitch.
well,
That's
that-
what I'm
that-
saying. It doesn't matter what
But
he
that's
sounds
not
like.
by how he speaks. That's
That's-
because of what he says.
Yeah, but
character. It's
it's
his
not just
character.
that. It's you threw
Well, he
in a
says
little
his
urban
character.
vernacular to get a point
but
across.
that's just I could do that with my West Indian accent.
Okay,
I
so
could do that.
hold on. Why?
Anyway,
isn't-
it's just
so.
different.
I didn't. Hold on. So if you want to play this game, that's not mutually exclusive than what I said. Sounding black could encompass all of those. So I could have literally said, "Don't sound black," no matter what you said, and I would have still been right. So you made a presumption of belief.
There's
I
no
didn't say
way I
anything
can't sound black.
specifically.
Is what I'm trying to say.
And I'm
because
not saying
everything
that. I
say
was like,
is
don't.
black.
What I was saying is, you're black because you're from America. When you're from England, you have a specific. Where's your family from?
Did you just say you're black because you're from America?
Sure. Where's your family
This
from?
is going in the wrong
Where's your
direction,
family
yo.
from?
My family's from the West Indies,
Where?
Trinidad and Jamaica.
Okay, how do you know that? Was your grandmother from there?
Yeah,
Okay, and then your grandfather?
my
Did your parents
grandparents
come? Were they born in England or?
they weren't my. I'm second generation Brit.
Okay, that's beautiful. You know where my family from? I don't know because of slavery, and that's why we're black, and that's where the term black came from. So that's why it started out as an American concept.
But
And I
in
dropped-
England, I'm called Black British.
right.
I'm still
Black and
black.
Persian,
I
guys.
understand. Okay, and
Let's put that out
that
there.
means
But
I'm
I'm
nigga
still
and
black.
terrorist. So
But that, I don't.
let's
This is
what
what
I'm
that's something I
saying
never
is-
understand with people, and I think, and I've never really heard. I've heard Americans say shit like that before, but
Sure.
when it comes to West Indians or Africans separating themselves like they're different, you're still fucking black. Just because you grew up somewhere or you don't understand certain histories. Yeah, my grandparents are West Indian.
Sure.
But do you think they know where the fuck they came from before that?
However-
they don't.
however,
so
the concept
how does that make me
is
different from you?
Because it gives a cultural context, and that's something that was erased from the American black that does not exist from black people of different parts of the world.
Now
it's
here-
erasing a cultural context that doesn't go back. So there is nothing past slavery. Now, when you look at a culture of West Indies or a person who comes here from Nigeria, their parent was Nigerian and they're black in the United States, but they have a Nigerian context, which gives them a pillar. And that's why when you check a culture, and that's why some people associate with being more or not is being a more is because of that. Once you remove that culture, I talk to my dad about this all the time, who comes here and said, well, why can't the black people do this and we did that, we don't speak English? It's because you have a strength in cultural backgrounds, a history and a context. When that's removed, which hasn't happened to any other peoples on this planet, because Armenians, even before the context of Armenia, still had Armenian culture. Assyrians to this day still say that they're Assyrian, but black people cannot say where they're from. All they say is simply Africa because that's a generalization of the context of
So
culture.
is
and color.
black a universal term? Now I know the term as used in America.
Yes.
The global term of black, does it mean different things to different people? Let's say there are instances of people whose ancestry goes back to Africa, but they don't have a lineage that was enslaved. Is there a difference now in terms of the terms that they use in their societies?
As in, so if I'm a second generation or third generation Nigerian, or I have that root, at least I have that context for culture. So I practice whatever Nigerian culture comes within that. But if I'm just American black, all of that subtext has been erased from my history. I have no context for that culture. So I simply have a culture that's 200 years old at best.
And it's important.
And it's southern or northern or Oakland, but it's very different.
It's important to know the difference,
Exactly.
between the words African and black, and they're used differently. Where I grew up in like a suburb of Washington, D.C., there was a clash actually in school between the people who identified as black, who had their ancestry like grandparents in America, whereas the people who were had their grandparents coming from like directly from Nigeria or Kenya.
100%.
And
They
that's
were
the
saying,
problem.
yeah, they're saying
But that's
African.
the problem.
So expound on the problem. I'm
Because,
trying to.
because to connect to what you're saying is, past the West Indies, we have the same situation that you have. So, like, I get your point, but not really. And on top of that, if we decide to separate ourselves, like, oh, okay, but our history is better than your history, oh, we're different from you, then how the hell do you expect us to ever come together.
Not once did I say it's better. I just said it's different. And so because it's different,
but what's
recognizing that difference is not a problem.
Black people all over the place. You know
I
what I'm
think
saying?
that
Like,
we're
I
in
don't see
a
the problem.
state right now where we're all just kind of blending together anyway. You're half Persian, half black. My mother is half Jewish, half black. My father's black. I identify with black. I don't identify with that, I guess, white or Jewish side of my family. I don't know them that well. Didn't grow up with them. I also think that people kind of identify with what speaks to them too. I think that's a thing that people do culturally as well. Do you identify with being black or?
I'm a black woman.
Exactly.
Have you had curry?
Who hasn't had curry?
Yeah.
Bomb as
I'm
shit.
asking-
That was just like a random
my
question.
family-
You had
Bomb as
curry.
shit.
Of course, I've had
Is it a part of your cultural heritage?
Fried chicken is a part of my cultural heritage. Collard
Yeah, yes, it
greens,
is.
candy yams.
Yeah,
Right.
curry chicken.
Would you
be
feel
a
like
part
it's a
of
part
that?
of your
Show,
cultural heritage?
show.
Okay, so even within America, we have different groups. So if you're Creole, you have a different context for your cultural heritage than you do in the rest of America, and which is why the association is so different. So I'm not saying that you are wrong about the United Front. You can be different and still be united, but there is clearly a different cultural context when you use terms like African, West Indies, and black. So when you go to
What
Canada,
about African American?
American, well, that's the context. It's
But my
black.
problem is that is people use that to say, "Oh, okay, I'm better than them because they're black." And I hear people like Hispanics do that all the time. Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. Oh, I'm not black, but you're darker than me, so you're not black. I don't understand.
Dominican is a perfect example of that. In fact, a
I
lot
don't
of
get
people don't
that.
realize that Haiti and Dominican Republic are the
On the
exact
same
same
island.
country.
For real. Yeah.
It's the same island,
For real.
except
Absolutely.
Dominicans are the Latino black people who also think they're better and in fact hate Haitians because of it.
And that was my question. So let's say like you have decided, and I believe we should all be able to decide what we're most comfortable identifying with. And I'm not talking about like making up a race. But so if we're comfortable with something, now let's say you are black or you are
I
African
decided I'm gonna be white today.
or you are Latino, right? And then you travel to another country and now they describe you, they say that black person or that African person. Now, is it your responsibility to have to correct that person? Is there a safe universal term like there is? I believe that like Asians have the luxury of traveling anywhere, I'm Asian, or an Arab traveling everywhere, I'm Arab, right? Or even a white person traveling anywhere, I'm white. They don't even need to get into being Anglo-Saxon. But then you have like this term black, which can mean different things to different people.
and then we also come in different colors and looks and like we don't all look the same.
Yeah, we do.
I
No,
think
we don't.
it's
Ask
the
the
thing
police.
of
All right, my
knowing
We don't.
your history, and I think that's where a lot of people have problems because they're ignorant of their background. And if they understand where they come from and have pride in that, then they can move anywhere as long as they're not being disrespected and be good.
Yeah, and it's interesting, just being aware of that and doing your research. But let's say you're African now, right? You're African, you're traveling to America. You're now introduced to something called, your reality was Africa, by the way, growing up in modern time. Now you're introduced to something called the black struggle in America. And you inadvertently are now blanket termed into that. And that's where my question lies with what you and Tehran are saying. Like, is there a way, is there a transience or is this separation mandatory of the terms?
And I'm going to say this, as a Nigerian immigrant, you have more in common with an Arab immigrant or a Persian immigrant or an Asian immigrant than you do with the black experience because it's very, very different. The context is different. The subcontext is different. And the experience itself is very different, especially because we have something called capital flight. And that happens when refugees of a country come to another country. It happened with Persians, and I tell this to my Persians all the time, is they'll be like, well, we became doctors and lawyers in this country and came with nothing. No, you didn't come with nothing. You came with the background and education that you had there and literally just came with no physical money, but you had the attributions of money, the culture and context and history of money and education and knowing it. So when Jewish people say this, it's like, yeah, but sure, your parents may have worked, for example, in a garment factory, but they were doctors and lawyers and educators before this. They just happened to have to live below their means. However, for example, when we have immigrants and refugees from Mexico, they're not necessarily the people who are doing very well in Mexico don't leave Mexico. It's the people who aren't doing well, and so it's different. That context is different.
That's so real. And I struggle too, being a man of Middle Eastern descent. You know, you meet a lady, oh, you got that Saudi oil money. I'm like, yo, my parents were
the John B vibe, but that's cool too.
John B. I used to get the John B. Now I get Drizzy, but you didn't see the eyebrows yet. Drizzy brows.
Oh, wow.
Profile.
Real thick. Oh,
That's still a stretch.
Please cover them back up.
It's still a stretch.
So, and it's interesting that when we have guests, our guests are Black women, we have to have this racial discussion every single
we
time.
don't have to. We can talk about
But
it.
we do, though. We do have to have it because Black women are the only women in America who have to meet a guy of their same ethnicity and wonder if that man dates Black women.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real thing. A white woman would never have to think about that. But
Very real.
if you're Asian, listen, I don't even know if Asian guys are allowed to date outside. Like when you see an Asian guy with a white woman, you're like, that's my hero. How did
I
he
honestly
do it?
have never thought about that being a Black woman.
I
Like,
have.
oh, he dates other people because the men
Every
that I
single
attract
time.
are the men that are attracted to me. I don't care about what the other motherfucker who he's attracted. Can I say motherfucker? Motherfucker.
Yeah, we
I
on
think you
satellite.
said,
We on
yeah.
satellite.
I've thought about it with every single guy I've ever met.
That's real.
Absolutely.
So how does that feel to you, though?
It doesn't feel good. But I think I've begun to move from a place where I know who I am. And whatever you decide to do is your personal business. I'm not going to make it mine. Do you know what I mean? If you can't see who I am, then you don't deserve me.
Wow. No, that's profound. Can you say that again? Those are my words. Yo, those are my words of the week, y'all. I'm just stealing them from you. Please say that again. That's profound.
I don't remember all of it, but if you don't see,
And-
but basically, if you can't see who I am, you don't deserve me, and that's fine. Like clearly you have some growth and some work to do on yourself. If you feel like Black women aren't beautiful enough for you, then that's not my trauma to pick up. I can't do it.
So, but when it comes out, like, is there a look to a Black guy that likes white women? Because I feel
think
like
so.
there's a look.
I feel like I've noticed like a lot of guys I've known from the East Coast come to LA and all of a sudden it's all these white bitches. Sorry, white female, like, and it's like, this wasn't the dude I knew on the East Coast. Like, what's going on?
It's so real. It's like it's almost like being a product of your environment.
Yeah, it's
because I
like-
guarantee y'all, if all you guys out there, if you go to a Howard homecoming, you're gonna be into Black
For real.
women, like straight up.
I too myself was even into. I'm just
What about this though? Like, as a Black woman, when you see a white man with another Black woman, do you somehow say extra props to him? Do you
No.
think that way, or
a white man with a Black woman to think extra.
like, I'm kind of
I'm
like
thinking
reversing
like,
it?
what
yeah.
type of food is he into, and can he understand the music, or that loud ass auntie that gets drunk and want to like throw it back at family reunions on him? Like, can he be comfortable with
Can
that?
you say auntie again?
Auntie? I'm country.
Auntie?
I like that. That's a new one.
So cute. I didn't
That's
even
a
know
new
that.
one.
I didn't notice that.
Auntie.
Auntie.
Let's not use that.
So is a
We use it in
hold
the
on.
South.
So is an uncle an ankle?
I just feel like with the eyebrows and this topic as well, you're pushing it.
Oh my gosh.
You're stretching it.
I'm being attacked. At least Tehran laughed.
No, I'm still laughing about the girl comment that Tiarre
Howard?
made.
They're
the
not
Howard
laughing. You're going into your imagination.
So, okay. Do you feel
Yeah, he was.
comfortable meeting men in LA? As in, do you feel like the men in LA
I
are?
got some Hennessy. We can really talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about
Okay, the men in LA.
it.
I don't want to say, because then it becomes generalization, right? I don't want to just put every man in a box.
But
But what I have found in my dating spectrum of being in LA is that the millennial dating scene out here is pretty difficult. A lot of people are so focused on securing the bag and these goals and social media. So there's options and there's access, and people don't take the time to stop and be like, yo, maybe I need to go back to my childhood and focus on those little pockets of, my father issues, my mother issues, things that hurt me. Work on that while being the best version of myself, then place myself in that dating pool. I come across a lot of men that has those issues because men are taught to stuff their emotions down, not talk about it, not deal with it, be a man, man up. But then by the time they meet a woman who is ready, knows her worth, and is open to building something, they don't know how to function in that. I've just kind of dealt with that here in LA.
What was the question again?
Where they got
I went deep. I was
kids.
like, ooh.
I just experienced a roller coaster of emotions.
You did?
Yeah, as you're speaking, I'm very in tuned.
The men in LA. I think everything I agree with Tiarre, everything she was saying, but at the same time,
Do you? Because I'm gonna tell Tiarre, like, I get what you're coming from. Have you ever gone to catch LA? It's not cheap, so I have to secure a bag just to pay for two people.
know
and
that's
there's not a
great.
problem
Like,
with
that's real.
that.
Secure your bag, but heal yourself. Don't bring your past trauma to me while I'm living my
should
best
work-
life,
working
working
on
on myself,
yourself,
putting
yeah.
my time
Really?
in, and you come and you drop everything off on me. Your past ex-girlfriend that cheated on you.
So girls don't do that?
Some
No,
of them
some
do,
do,
but
but
there's a
that's not
difference between a girl and a woman. I'm
Let
talking about
a girl
a
get
woman.
cheated on and see how you got to
Well,
deal with
you
it.
could say girl, but I'm
why
not a girl. I'm a
Why
woman.
did she have to get cheated on?
She's a
Like,
woman.
hold on.
I'm a woman, and I put my work in. I did my
Because we
did
talk
my
about her
battles.
relationship. So
All the
that's
time,
like-
yeah, we
like,
talk outside
we
of
talk
it.
about it. Well, I'm so sorry. Let me come from a place of experience. 'Cause everything you
No,
want
but
to
I was
fight
just
me.
like, wait, no.
You want to
But
fight
it's
me?
like, why?
Yo.
But this is the thing.
Every time you talk,
because
I feel
at
like I'm
least
ducking a
somebody-
fade. Like,
But this is the thing. Of course, if someone gets cheated on, they're going to react in a certain way.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But if it's like, oh, I'm just trying to communicate with you and you're not trying to communicate with me, like, because of what you have going on from past relationships, that can be an
Perfect
issue you got to
example.
work on.
Let me tell you, this guy is in the process of trying to court me, right? This is the mentality that's so basic. Gave him my phone number. We're, communicating. Then he stops. Text messages are sporadic, whatever. And I'm like, all right, I'll fall back. I was following him on social media. I unfollowed him because I'm like, I don't want to see your selfies. First of all, you got way too many, but that's a whole nother topic. But then when I did that immediately, like 2 seconds later, he texted me like, you unfollow me? I said, yes. But you're just now reaching out to me after all this time, not even no phone conversation at all, just to ask me about social media. Like, and he was like, well, it goes both ways. You can call me. I'm not courting you, nigga. Like, that's not my job. You are a man. You have my phone number. Pursue me. I gave you an in. You had a box. We could have communicated. I reached out to you. You were busy and you didn't respond. That's not my job to chase after a man, nor is it a man's job to chase after a woman. It's called being mutually interested and both putting energy forth.
And that's a question. That's something I struggle as someone like who's dating in LA. The problem is, as there's some tradition holds, right, to dating where the ladies I meet, they expect me as the man, right, to always be following up, to text them first, to call them first. And sometimes I feel like maybe that's being, because I'm more of a laid back dude. So sometimes I feel like that's being a little too pushy. I want to respect that lady's space. So how do I know as a man, right? If I do hit you up all the time, all of a sudden I'm creeper. I'm a creeper. You give me the term creep. Creeper's such an ugly word. No one wants to be a creeper.
no one likes to be creepy.
But then how do we
then
know
at
you're
the
still
same time,
interested?
then
How
I-
do we still know that? Whereas if you're doing something one way and you stop doing that,
Yo,
then it's like, did something change?
Consistency.
Like,
Yeah.
how are we supposed to know?
No, I would adapt for you. You are just so intriguing. I would make the change for you because you're so bold and fierce, and that activates me. So I would be hitting you up on the daily. But you're not no regular woman. I'm talking about the average lady who doesn't have.
Well, it's called communication. You put it out there. I like you. I'm interested in getting to know you. Once that sets the tone, then there is no question of whether or not who's reaching out to who or how it's happening.
Yeah,
Like,
but you
Yo,
know
I'm
what's
saying the
scary?
realest shit.
You know what's scary
say the
though?
real shit.
Let
real
him
shit
say it.
is, if I haven't hit yet, I'm still interested. Just keep up the text.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, I said it. Don't act like guys in LA aren't about that life.
So wait, so what you're saying is you're only interested until you hit?
No. I'm saying if I haven't hit yet, that's the threshold, right? So there's a threshold right there. I'm saying what?
No,
Real
I'm
shit.
just trying to understand.
Yeah.
No.
So there's this threshold, right? So if you want to know if a guy's still interested, right? If he hasn't hit yet and he's still hitting you up every now and then, when you know he likes you is when he hits you up after he's hit.
What if you
So
practice
and then
in
you're in
abstinence?
love.
How do you gauge
So
that?
is the only test sex?
Right, that's what
And when
you're
you're,
not having
and
sex.
when you're in love, this is what it is. After you've had sex and you don't want the girl to immediately just disappear into nothingness, you might love her. See what I mean? Like, yo, nah, stay over. You know what I'm
Whatever.
saying?
You such a ham.
But
it's not.
Anyway.
But here-
It's not. Listen.
He's gonna be a great husband,
This is
guys.
real.
Like,
He
This
is.
is real.
He is.
Here's-
Hold on.
he's a
Do you
great-
think I'm not?
Is that the same for you?
think-
No,
wanna know
for,
why.
yeah, for me,
What
yeah.
that is.
Can I get my thoughts in, please? No, for me, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I will, like, I got to back up my boy here, like, back up my man. But see, that would sound weird because you can't say girl,
Yeah.
but then you
Can't-
say
you
boy.
can't say man, yeah.
So I got to back him up in the sense that basically there is something that draws you to a woman if you haven't fully experienced her yet. There's a mystery. There's a mystique. And men love the mystique.
Yeah, it's called pussy,
And we
nigga.
love
Listen.
it.
and then
And
once
we
you
love
conquer
the
it,
chase.
you're like,
no,
"Ah,
it's not once you.
let me get on Tinder."
That's not it.
Swipe
The
right.
thing is, for me, like you asked how I feel. The thing for me is jumping over the bridge. So I might hit you up, but I may not be as forward because there's something that I fear as a man and that many men out there fear, but they're not going to admit it. But because this is the Imperfect Gentleman show, I'm going to talk about it. And I am striving to be a better man, and not 2017 because I made a mistake. It's 2018.
Amen.
And what I always fear is rejection. That's my hindrance. So when I'm speaking to a lady, I'm scared to fully disclose my feelings or level of interest because I am scared that you're going to be like, your eyebrows too big or something like that.
But
and then it's going to shatter
At
me.
which point are
and
we
then
talking? Because hasn't she seen your eyebrows by then?
I mean, everyone, because I take a lot of selfies. I know you don't like the selfies on the pages. I post a lot of selfies. I love my eyebrows. I get compliments on the eyebrows. These are perfectly groomed. Look at these
They
eyebrows.
are definitely perfectly groomed.
So for me, it's not so much how you look like. A lot of it's your swag. So check it out. Hanging out with my friend, I'm not going to say any names, Maria, yesterday, and she was telling me basically how she met like 3 guys, right, over a series of weeks and stuff. She was more attracted. They were all celebrities, okay? So she was more attracted to the other 2. The other 2 she felt were aggressive, although they looked better to her on first glance. She felt they were more aggressive to her. The third guy, who she was least attracted to, right, engaged in a conversation, asked her about her interests, and she saw parallels in the lifestyle. So that ended up being the guy who she ended up
because
Yeah,
ugly
talking
dudes
to.
is
Yeah.
winning.
It's
Ugly
that
dudes
parallel.
is winning.
Yeah.
So shut up.
So,
Ugly
so,
guys.
I do agree
so
that
the
it's
thing
about
is,
swag, but I do like a little aggression.
you like the aggression.
like a
Oh
little
yeah.
aggression.
Well, you're very strong, so it's
I
gonna
am.
take.
So I'm gonna need someone that
It's
can
a
handle that.
balance. It's like you have to engage with somebody to fill them out. You know when somebody is interested. You know when they're disinterested. Like you just,
So-
it's an energy.
So practical question. I hit you up in the DM. You don't take me seriously because you don't know me, but I'm attracted to your look. I'm attracted to what you post. I send you one message. You don't reply. Should I send another message back or is that stalking?
Well, for one, sometimes I know a lot of people who don't check their DMs, so it's not a knock at you or the person who sends it. And then the other option would be maybe they're not interested. Maybe they're engaging with somebody else, or they don't find you attractive. There's 3 options that happens because all you can do is just look at somebody on social media, look at their videos or whatever else, but you don't know them. So you're going off of that initial like eye gauge, like okay, oh he looks cute or she looks good.
So I hit you up in the DM. You ignore me. Should I try again?
I would say yes. I don't think that's a bad thing, but then you have to also be okay with maybe not getting a response again or whatever else.
But that hurts.
It does, but you gotta shoot your shot. You gotta put yourself out there. Women get rejected too. It's not often.
It's the ego plays such a heavy
But women get
role
rejected
for,
too.
for both men.
I've
and
been
women.
rejected.
So I can understand it's hard, but I get rejected too. Like it's not easy at all. But
Has there been a man in either of your lives or men where you felt passionately about, you're attracted to, and you let them slip away because you didn't maybe have the confidence to make that first initial move?
no.
no, I mean no.
I was engaged. I was in a 10-year relationship. So that was like my way of, I don't know. Like I didn't really have like a dating life. Like I'm just now getting back into the dating realm, and it is tragic. God, it's so tragic. So no, I haven't had anybody where I'm just like, I let them get away because I didn't have confidence. Because I approach men. I'm not that woman that's gonna be like, I'm gonna wait for him to like talk to me. Nah, if I find you attractive, I'm gonna let you know and see where we can go from there.
I'm sorry, I lied. I have. Because
Thank you for your honesty.
I'm just thinking about it where I'll talk, connect if you have a conversation. If you don't take the next step, then I'm just gonna leave it at that.
You ain't shooting your shots.
I'm not shooting my shot because I just kind of feel like I want to see. You might just want to have a conversation with me. Maybe you don't like black girls. I don't know, and I'm not gonna put myself that far out there to get shot all the way down. But if we're connected and we're talking and you like me, then I hope you would ask me for my phone number.
So is it the man's job to make the first move?
I think isn't that what a man wants, or does he not? Does he want a woman that's
I
gonna
like to be flattered.
I don't
But
think
if
it's the
I'm
man's
talking to you,
job.
should flatter you.
Right. I don't think it's a man's job, but I think once that initial conversation is initiated, women like to see the consistency of a man just because traditionally in the dating realm, there's a lot of men that aren't consistent. So we want to see, can you make the cut? Like, are you going to be that iffy type of dude? Yeah. And if you are, then I don't want to really go beyond it.
Mm-hmm. Like, how much energy am I going to put into this?
Yeah.
And because I'm the kind of person that puts a lot in, and I give a lot of love, and I'm not really trying to waste it. It's a lot. I'm about to be 34, and I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired, and I can't.
Yo, I clocked you. I'm not trying to gas you up.
Yes.
I clocked you at like 23, straight up.
Damn.
More black don't crack.
Receive it, bitch. Receive.
Thank you very much.
23, like not even a day older. You might have been 22 Eve tonight.
Oh,
you know
wow.
what I'm saying?
Oh, I think we got a little connection over here.
Yeah, I'm trying not. Yeah, so I'm like, I don't want to keep taking steps if you're really not feeling it, or you have 13 other bitches that you rather date and mess around with, and that's fine. Do you, but don't do it on my time.
I ain't intimidated by 13 other bitches.
So
Because they going to end up,
That's fine, but I'm not. Listen, I don't have time for all that.
Yeah, because you're all bedazzled. Of course they're going to select you.
when it comes to energy and texting back, right? Here's the thing. Unfortunately, men are clearly the less intelligent of the two genders by far. And we have less communication skills,
Sorry,
which
can you
is
say that
why
again?
we're the less intelligent of the
Why
genders
are
by
you
far.
agreeing with him so easily?
Can you zoom in? Can you say
Just
that one time?
focusing on that.
I'll
man.
say it again. We are by far the less intelligent of the two genders. However, we have the ability to do other things. We don't multitask well. And so when girls want us to give them energy and we have a focus, it's very difficult for us. So the whole concept of
It ain't hard when it comes time
walking
to
and
hit. Y'all
chewing.
become real available. Y'all be like, oh,
But have you ever tried a guy to hit?
That's so real.
That's real, except have you ever had a guy hit and try to rub your clit at the same time and he fails miserably because he can't multitask.
No, I ain't never-
Can't do both same time. That's why he's like,
never had that.
you do that for me. See what I mean? No, you rub and I'll
I
hit.
totally
Like,
understand
it's
what you're
work.
saying. I totally get that, and I'm learning. I can't expect a man to act like me, and I'm also learning to manage my expectations. However, if you're interested and you want to take that next step, there's things you can do to actively say, okay, I need to make the little extra effort with her if this is what I want.
what's
You know
going to
what I mean?
distinguish you from the other men that are trying to pursue her? Like it's a race to
Do you play sports?
love.
Do either one of you play sports?
I used to.
What did you play?
I played volleyball.
Oh, that's
I
what's up.
played volleyball too. I was the middle for my varsity school team. I was
Were you
excellent.
really?
Yeah, I was in.
I was the middle.
Oh, Spirit Fingers. We do this on the show. Spirit Fingers.
Yeah, well, at least we know you weren't a top. And what did you play?
I was I ran a little track and
A
I
little
was
track?
a whack
Oh, that's
basketball
what's up.
player. I really was.
Basketball? Oh, that's nice.
It was,
Where's your
not good.
point?
I play
I was
basketball
a dancer.
sometimes.
I was a
When it
dancer.
hit
I
the-
wasn't a.
I play basketball. It's a team sport. It's very nice. And sometimes we'll have someone, and if we're playing, and I was playing with someone who was like unable to dunk like me, or someone who was unable, like even if a kid was slow, a little slow, and they were playing, I wouldn't expect them to be able to do what I can do, right? So let's
Tehran, I
assume,
tried my best. I'm sorry we lost that
Right.
game. Okay.
Yo, I
Go
still
sit
think
your
about
little
that.
slow
I
ass
still
down
think
on the
about
bench
that
then. How about
all the
that?
time. Yeah, like yo,
Get out the game if you
Tehran
can't
was in
play.
a tournament, and then one of the players subbed out. I was like, Tehran, trust me, I'm big. I lied. I told him I played varsity in high school, but I only played JV basketball. So it was an important game, and he turned down our boy like Norman, and had me play it. I lost the game for him, and he never
I mean, actually, we didn't lose the game, but you definitely didn't just back down the dude who was 4 feet tall. As I yelled, he's only 4 feet tall. Go to the middle. But the concept is, the expectation is, I wouldn't expect someone who's not as good at something to do as well as I.
Don't get
Okay.
in the game.
So here's the thing. Here's the
Work
thing.
on it.
But-
Practice.
But practice makes perfect, right? And on
Yeah,
top of
but
that,
don't
you
use me
still
to
have
practice.
enthusiasm. You still want to play.
That's what Tinder's
We
for.
are the less intelligent of the two genders. And when it comes to love, clearly that process of retardation is something that's passed down to us culturally and passed out into us in our psyche.
Yo,
We are
don't throw
not
those
taught-
genes on me,
You
bro.
are retarded. You're
Yo,
retarded.
But it's
You're-
like
Oh
we're
my
not allowed.
gosh.
We're not allowed to
That's
express
sorry for
ourselves. We're
anybody
not allowed to
that's
talk about our emotions.
battling
We're not
with-
allowed. So all of a sudden now comes the rush of all these things, and we see love not as strength, but as weakness. And you're expecting us to be able to deal with something we've never been taught to deal with in our entire lives.
But I'm saying you deal with it. You're gonna fuck up. You are, but at least try.
But we do, and we get.
No,
Like,
y'all
that's it.
don't. It's to the
Pushed.
point where y'all just
It's
don't
just
try.
like, oh, I give up. I quit. It's over.
So one of my
It's like,
girlfriends
wait,
was interested in this guy, talking to him, and she wanted to kind of have him as a Valentine's Day date. Do you know this Negro told her that he was gonna be asleep that day? You know what month we
That
in?
means he's broke.
That
means he was
I mean,
broke.
you weren't even trying to communicate what the deal was.
He was
Like,
asleep.
nigga said, I'm gonna be asleep on that day, like fam. Like
You know
it's-
what was better though? No, hold on. You know what was better than him? You know what that was better than him saying the truth, which a lot of guys do, is like, I'm flat broke, I can't date
broke
you.
as fuck.
But we want that.
Why is that worse?
Because you get dumped so quick by these Persian girls in Beverly
But
Hills.
you're not even using a
Persian
good
girls in
lie.
Beverly Hills.
but the thing is, here's the thing though. Here's the thing, right? You know what? Something men do, and I probably shouldn't share this.
Please share.
We will, like, if it's your birthday and my bank account is,
You'll break up with us.
I will break up the day before, bro.
The
Just-
day before.
I'm a man. I'm a man of.
type of evil
I'm a
shit
man
is
of
that?
pride.
Wait, my ex broke up with me like
See?
a week before my birthday. You know, he broke up with me. Remember?
We talk
He
about
was
these
trying
things.
to
So
say-
I didn't say nothing, but I was
You know what, bitch?
He had,
He did. He
did
broke
Tehran
up.
just
This
give you
nigga
spirit
was-
fingers?
Nah.
No.
Now I'm like, extra
Nah,
layer
we
to
had-
that motherfucker.
We had hold hand energy because she's communicated this to me, and I couldn't stop laughing for like that week. He broke up with her.
That
I
week,
laughed,
man. That week.
I la- it
You
was-
laughed?
Listen,
You know what we went
because
through that
I already
week?
knew- listen,
Yeah, we
because
did
I
multiple
knew-
pop-ups,
I
nigga.
knew
We
why.
about to hurt
I
somebody.
understand. Look, I'm not agreeing with his action. I can understand something without condoning it, and I do that all the time. I do that with the
No,
president.
that's cool.
I understand, but it's still funny.
But you know, she
Well,
just
we
said
also
something
broke
so
up 'cause he
beautiful
had
without
father
realizing it. Did you hear that, Tehran? She said, "Do you know what we went through that week?" That's what I like about sisterhood. Women have each other's back. When I went through my breakup, Tehran's like, "Yeah, feel better."
Yo, we need to feel better. Walk it off, nigga. Listen,
No.
he would call me at 4 in the morning. I'm not picking up my phone at 4 in the morning.
No, honey, we
I'm not
had
looking at it.
food, we had wine,
Yeah,
we had pop-ups.
Yup.
We popping up on niggas.
They watch Eat, Pray, Love
I
14
know you
times.
here. Yeah, it was all types of stuff.
Yeah, that was.
And that
It
is
was
a
hella
way
shenanigans.
to get around it. But since we don't have that same feel, like even when you fall as a boy, you're told just walk it off. That's the
what
key.
I'm saying.
Walk it off.
Man up,
Walk
right?
it off. So how do you expect that person to grow up and all of a sudden be sensitive? And I'll tell you another dichotomy. If we are, however, sensitive and we're too sensitive, which George can at times be,
Why
he's
do you
been
have to roll me under
accused
the bus,
of being
bro?
too sensitive when it comes to a girl. Like he's too empathetic and then he's too nice. And
Thank
then
you.
she
She likes
It's
it,
definitely
Tehran.
a
Thank you.
balance. No,
It's
you're right.
refreshing.
I don't know about
It's
that. I don't need you to
until
be.
your boyfriend's crying every damn time.
No.
Like,
Can't do it.
Yo,
Can't do it.
and
Can't
you
do
want a
no
man
cry.
too. You
Can't
want
do
someone.
no blubber, baby.
So it's like
I don't
there's
mind
a lot
seeing
of pressure.
My guy cry.
I'm
if there's
saying you can
something on
cry.
his heart.
Yeah, but he said every day. That's
I mean,
too
not every,
much.
that's pushing it.
Yeah, if I'm crying during Forrest Gump, okay. But if I'm crying because it's like I just don't know why my boss is so mean to me, you want to be like,
Sound like a
you better
bitch.
man
Well,
the
no,
fuck up.
no, this is like, I'm not that emotional. Just like, you know, with my ex Friday night, and I wanted to tell her I loved her, right? But
No, but why is that funny?
I wanted to tell her.
Wait, what kind of ex? Like ex forever?
Like, that's
ex?
sweet.
Yeah, well, yeah, she said I was, you know, she
Said you were what? Too sensitive?
yeah, she don't call me no more.
You know what I did?
So what I did, I wanted to tell her I loved her. So I played.
After she told you not to call her anymore.
So
you
my
were
way
too
of telling her I
sensitive?
loved her is I played. I lit a candle, which was a lavender lemon, because it has relaxing vibes.
Are we serious?
Yeah, and I played Maxwell's "Pretty Wings," and I tried to sing it to her. She said,
didn't.
"You can't sing."
Wait, this is in
And-
real life?
Yeah,
did
yeah.
do
This
this,
is in
really?
DC, and then
Oh, this is a while ago.
yeah, this was in 2010.
Yeah, we gotta go back.
I'm
Hey,
glad. I'm
nothing
glad he
we
said it was
talk
that long
about is
ago.
anything in our
Yeah.
current
So-
or
Okay.
immediate,
Yeah, exactly.
present,
Wait,
and future for
So-
all listeners out there. Just
Pretty Wings.
Did she say that after she told? Did you
she
do that
let you
after
sing-
she
she let
said
you
don't
sing?
call her?
So like I tried to
did.
sing, and she's like, "You can't sing." I was like, "Yo, but I'm trying to like do
So at
something
this
for
point in
you."
time, she already had like broke it off with you.
Because I had a dream of her, and she was so angelic in my dream, and I wanted to
But
verbally
you just
communicate.
didn't read the signs. I was on you.
She
You took
didn't
that
even
L.
sign. She told him straight up, and he
Yeah,
still would have
like,
did
you
that.
took that L, fam.
Yeah,
You did. That
I
was
did.
a
I would have
poor
knocked that
choice.
playlist out your hand.
Oh my gosh.
Poor choice.
So
And
harsh.
then what did George do after that happened? Who did he call? Who did you call?
I called Tehran.
Wrong person. Because what did you say to him?
Why would you
He
do that?
said some things that I wouldn't repeat to anyone.
I'll
to
tell
my
you what
enemy.
I said. All right, so first of all, right, because I was like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
so first of all, he's a little bitch. But
That
second of all,
hurt.
here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
George is a very sensitive, sweet, caring person. And then he's also the definition of the nice guy who finishes last. Because there was a time where George was not always sweet and caring
Mm-hmm.
and loving. He was a nigga. And I'm gonna tell
Mm-hmm.
you, and there was girls lying down. Then he had like one of these revelations and change.
It was my Nubian queen that changed me.
And then he's throwing that out for you, by the way. So then,
Hey.
so then he's like, oh, I'm gonna be this way. And ever since then, he's just finished last in this situation because I remember a time where George waited to have sex with a girl and she broke up with him because he was like, we should wait and get to know each other better. And that is a true story.
That's what I'm doing right now.
How long was the wait?
I made her wait a little long.
What's a little long?
It was like, it wasn't bad. It was like
2 months?
17 months. I mean,
That's not.
I
What?
think it was 2 years and some change.
Are you serious? Is that
Serious.
that's a real story?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't
no
nobody
one.
got time
I mean,
for it.
I
See?
don't mind
one.
waiting.
And that's the problem, is because it's different. It's different.
Okay, but there's things you
As
take
women
things
are.
too far. That's like level. I don't know what like you in church.
Hold
or
up
something?
now.
Like,
It's all
I
about
was in
finding
church, yeah, I was in
somebody.
He was in church. Okay,
Finding,
all
finding
right.
your tribe, finding that person that you align with. There's nothing wrong with wanting to abstain from sex,
If-
getting to know somebody,
if
You're
you're
right.
and then y'all
both in
vibe
that
together.
line, if you're both in
Exactly.
agreement with that, and that's what you're both doing, then that makes sense.
So
but
you
if
find somebody that's more like-minded.
Exactly.
That's the key.
That's
you don't
it.
go after somebody that ain't in alignment with your growth and who you are as
Yeah.
a person and what you
I'm
stand
just
for.
curious if Tehran would wait 17 months.
No, he would not. I'll answer that.
17 hours maybe.
How, you don't know how long I would wait.
He will
You
not
don't
wait.
know what I do
Hours.
in my life now. Like,
I mean,
you don't know who
he won't wait.
Listen,
Would you wait?
who am I waiting for? Oprah? I'd wait for Oprah.
You wait for Oprah?
I'd wait. Listen, it just depends. It depends on situation, and I'll tell you this. This is a thing guys also think about. Like, if I wait and then I hit and you suck in bed, Mitch, I might have to kill you. Like, that's
You
like,
think we don't think the same thing?
I mean, I could.
I'm not waiting until marriage. I'm definitely gonna test try
find-
the dick
to
before
find out that you
marriage.
whack
I
as
want
hell.
a trash dick. For a husband. That's
Exactly.
I mean, that's a real
Nobody
thing.
wants trash dick.
I wonder if that's what happens in these arranged marriages, and
They did
that's
not say
why
that in the
sometimes
Bible.
there's
So,
animosity.
like, I can only imagine
Somewhere
you
in the
think
Bible
you
it
live like
mentioned
40
not
years.
receiving trash.
What if I feel like I'm better at massaging than I am at sex?
Ooh,
Then
I don't.
you're gonna be the
there's-
friend.
Then maybe there's a class for you.
You're gonna be the friend.
Maybe there's a class.
Sex is
you know?
important. Can't overlook
How
great
important?
sex. It's
Very
it's
important.
extremely important.
Very important.
Sex is okay. For me, it goes hand in hand, right? There is loyalty, there's communication, there's partnership,
Uh-huh.
good dick. But God is above all of that. Make sure that
I'm
Let me
good
make
at
sure
one
that
of those qualities that you've listed. I'm not saying which one. I'm just saying I'm at 25% right now.
Ooh,
I'm at
Are you shooting
25%.
your shot?
Work on them levels.
Nah, I'm just
You shoot your
impressing.
shot.
I'm just impressing. My shot has I Steph Curry'd my shot. Like, y'all, you just
I know.
I have Steph Curry'd my shot. Like, at this point, you just don't even
The ball is in my
like
court.
I'm a baller. Like,
I feel like my strong suit is emoting. I'm not going to hide my 25%.
That's it. That's all.
That's what I'm best at is emoting. I could just sometimes I like to do communal meditation where I have the lady sit next to me,
I'm
palms
trying to
up.
figure out if he's
nigga,
for real.
that's
like,
why
is he
I
for
want to break
real?
up with you. Do you understand?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want it.
I think doing things like that is awesome, but you need to cover the other bases.
But you know
too.
what? You know what? We could connect in this dimension. But if I tell a lady I could take you to a different realm, isn't that better than the
but
best
how can you
orgasm
take a
out
What
there?
if I'm like, I
to
can
another
take you to a
realm?
different
You have
realm
to
with
do
this
it
dick? Like,
No,
That's
but
also possible.
Because here's what I believe,
Yo.
right? Sex is great, and it's something that this was my words of the week. It was something about separating, right? Separating fulfillment from passion, right? So something when you feel a pleasure, fulfillment and pleasure. That was my word. So fulfillment is when you set like a lifetime goal. It's something that you work towards. It's something that you almost live for with your passions, right? Pleasure is something that's momentary. Pleasure is ejaculation. Pleasure is orgasm. Pleasure is, damn, that pizza was good. but now I got to deal with a gut. Yeah, that happened too. So what I seek in a relationship, which is why I was waiting these 17 months, is I seek fulfillment not only in this lifetime, because no matter how sex the good is, I know that one day, well, I believe at least, I will leave this bodily form, and so will you. And I want to make sure that we are binary spirits, so when we reach the next dimension, we are together eternally. Now, ain't that deeper than Tehran? Ain't that better than doggy style, y'all?
Well, I also think
I want the combo. Can I make it a combo, please?
I also think that people, like, sex has such a negative connotation, and it can be so powerful in connecting. That energy creates power that you can manifest from, especially when you're doing it together. So I think that a lot of people need to change their belief systems about sex.
I'm gonna agree with you there. I do think.
Oh, will you?
Yeah.
Oh, really? No way. You agree with her?
Sorry that her and I belief systems totally collide, and that you don't have 5 minutes to help me for a breakup, Tehran. Okay, you just derailed me. Now I forgot what I was. I was going into a
the
tangent.
best part is George called me and he's like, "What are you doing right now?" Right? And I was like, "Wow, what's up?" And then he's telling me about breakup. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing nothing, but I gotta go." And I'm just like, I had to go, bro.
No, that hurt, bro. But no, like sex does have a negative connotation a lot in society. When I was growing up, it was like I grew up in the church and stuff, and sex was like this forbidden thing that you can only wait till marriage. And if you didn't wait till marriage, now especially with the ladies, because they have more of an indicator, you could tell, if not, I guess, biologically, and men don't have that. So there was this pressure on the ladies growing up in church, like real stuff, like you have to maintain your virginity to a certain level, and if you don't, then society judges you. Then you come to different places, like you come to LA, a more liberal area, and growing up into adulthood, I would feel guilty about sex when it is actually a very, not only normal, but beautiful part of human bonding. Oh my gosh. And I struggled with that for a while until, I shouldn't share this story, but I ended up going to a strip club.
I went last night. What's the point?
Oh.
Shout out to AOD. Nah, I definitely have my she's
Shout
gotta
out
have
Wiz
it
Khalifa.
moment. Yeah, I definitely have my she's gotta have it moment out of my 10-year relationship. However, on the spiritual end of things, I'm a believer, and I do believe in soul ties and strongholds, and I do believe that you have to be mindful of who you share your body with, because it's not just a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing. Like, there's a whole nother realm out here that goes beyond what the eyes can see, and I believe in that. And I can believe in a transference of energy. Somebody's depressed, you fuck with them, and then next thing you know, you got that heavy ass energy on you, and you don't even know why, because you're transferring these spirits and these vibes, or whatever demon you got, now I got it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's something that in Tehran's credit, he was preaching the same thing last night. Y'all have
man, you don't even need to have sex to transfer energy. You don't.
You don't. But it's different
Definitely.
when you are intimate with a person. It's on a whole
even more.
nother
I really
realm.
disagree with that. I do. I think that we're taught these things so that we're not in tune.
I disagree with that too, but continue.
You gonna disagree with whatever? You gonna agree with whatever she say? Your little cake and
Next year
ass.
it's gonna be like, I love curry too. Curry chicken, delicious.
No, I do love curry, not chicken, because I'm vegan, but I like curry tofu.
Oh, and she's a vegan.
I'm vegan.
Oh,
but I
you're
don't eat
vegan?
tofu.
Oh.
Yeah, I try.
Oh,
to-
So we go
Yeah.
to restaurants and we be like, let me just get the leaf with
Leaf with the
Some
mashed
sausage.
potato, a little gravy on the top, mushroom gravy. Yeah.
No, sex is. We definitely do have different viewpoints on that, but because I personally have experienced something on a spiritual level due to being open, and so I guess just my viewpoint as I get older is a little bit different. Plus, I don't think every nigga's deserving of
Oh,
hitting it.
absolutely.
You know what I'm
That's a
saying?
fact.
Like, I do want to preserve that for a person that I'm about to build with, instead of just having these randoms.
That's it. You do. That's the goal. 2018.
Yeah.
I want to be in love and build, honey.
You know what I'm saying?
Be in love and
Tired of
build.
these randoms.
Have you had randoms?
I've had people wanting to be the randoms, but once you
So
can't.
every body count you've had has been possibly the one.
Well, first of all, I've only had 3 relationships.
I don't want to.
No. I want to give you an idea
context,
of
sure.
like my relational background. Again, I was in a 10-year relationship, and I had 2 other relationships after that was quote unquote serious. One was a rebound. Yes, I will admit that. And then the other one was somebody that I actually genuinely want to be with. If you would have asked me to marry him, I would have said yes. So in between that interim of being, in and out of those relationships, I did entertain other guys or have sex with other dudes, but I don't got a huge body bag. But if I did, I wouldn't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? But yes, they were, some of them were randoms where I'm like, this guy is not my husband, but he got a curved penis and I'm gonna go with it. And then others was, again, just a relationship. So yeah. No, I want a relationship though.
So there's someone texting you right now that's like, why can't I just be a random? Like you.
Because I'm not in that stage anymore. Because I don't want to be a girlfriend. I want to be a wife. And if I want to be a wife, then I'm not playing these fuck games that's going on out here.
Mm-hmm. So here's a thing that I want to ask both of you is, with all these qualities and qualifications that we're asking of these men to have, what do you bring to the table?
Oh, women have to be able to match that. It's not just on the men to make sure that they have their stuff together or living in their purpose or they're healthy, whole, and healed and have clarity on what they want. Women have to be able to meet that too. Because I would never ask anything of a man that I'm not able to give back, ever. Because I don't think that's fair. However, there is a different dichotomy between men and women because men have this notion where they have to be providers. They have to be the head of the household. And I'm kind of old-fashioned where I don't actually mind submitting in a spiritual position to my man to allow him to lead me. Like, I'm all pro woman. I'm a feminist, love women to death, but I am also old school where I'm like, I want a man to lead me spiritually.
Do you mind submitting?
You know what? It's funny. It's a dream of mine to have a man that I can give control to. It's a dream.
Yes.
It's a dream.
But I think all women kind of like, all right,
Yeah,
we
you
want
want
you
to
to
be
like
able.
lead us.
Yes, I would love that, but I ain't gonna have no fool leading me now.
Because the millennial generation of men they'll lead your ass off a cliff.
Yeah, listen. You know how much women are in prison because of some fool?
Hey.
No, not doing it. So
I mean, women are much more. It's like we're taking on a role of like the men now. Like
Yeah.
a lot of these men are like bitch made nowadays.
and
it's not
I don't enjoy that at all. You want a strong man, and you want to be able to give the reins over to him. And yeah, but what I would love to know is what you guys want from us. What is it that you need from us?
Tehran, do you want to go first?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you what I need, and I'll be very open and honest in a stage. So there's different stages in men's lives, right? So when you're young, you don't know what you need. So that's why these relationships build when you're very young. You're in that 19, 20, 21. It's like, oh, I've been with someone for 7 years. No, you haven't. You don't know who you are, right? So you're willing to do anything on both ends. Then you hit a stage that's like, oh, I have a career, I have a focus, I have a purpose, and you want to hit that. And unfortunately, most men cannot have a purpose and a relationship simultaneously because we cannot multitask, right? Because we can't multitask, I can't work on what my focus is because anything that takes me off this path. Now, once again, that doesn't mean that girls won't come in, like the body count will get higher because it's convenient. It's not out of effort, right? So it's in that path.
I don't have a body count. I have a soul count.
And then you go to the point where you were like, I want a partner. Now, here's where we come into a conflict.
When do you get to that point?
You get to that point.
Like, what age?
It's not an age. And that's the thing, because as I've found in LA, in DC, it was an age because it was such an easy way to look at it. College, and then your first job, and then your career.
Yes, in Chicago.
And by 30, most of my friends, even the biggest fuck boys, are married and have children. So, because the path is easy, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and sometimes, especially when you come to LA, most people come to LA because of a dream. They come to LA for a dream. So everyone at home, their advice is don't follow your dream, because the guy at the bar stool, his advice to you, anything he tells you is only to keep you at the bar stool with him. Because he's at the bar stool. He's like, don't get up and go out and follow this dream. Just do what I do. And we all just, work and come home and check in and clock out, and that's life. But in LA, it's very different. So there is no age bracket. It's a mindset. Because you see 50-year-olds at clubs still, like, if I'm 50 and I'm at a club and I don't own it, shoot me.
Yeah, for sure.
Shoot me. That's true. Shoot me. I need to own that club. Like, I'm not there partying trying to pick up a 21-year-old girl. Yeah. But then you're in a situation where you meet a girl, and all of a sudden now you have to be her psychologist, her teacher, her mentor, her this, her that, because you find that these young girls are the ones who are available, and the girls your age have just been so set in their ways that they're not willing to change a little. And I think then in a situation, it's like men don't want to change the older they get, and then women don't want to change at a certain point the older they get, and then it just becomes unbearable. It becomes like two people just waiting to get a divorce.
But is it about the change or is it about like
you haven't answered the question.
Evolving though.
You haven't answered the question. I asked you what it is that you wanted from us.
But that's
Hey,
what I'm
please,
saying.
she asked you a question. I'm going to ask you kindly to answer her question.
I'll answer her question. Thank you, George. What we want at that stage is a partner. We want someone who helps us build. Like, if I was gonna have one store, because I'm with you, I will have 10.
Okay.
You will help me evolve.
Okay.
See what I mean? In that respect, that Michelle Obama bond, where everyone's like, "Oh, Michelle's so wonderful." Yeah, because she allowed for the greatness of President Obama, and that is in turn not like, oh, she didn't do as much. She actually did more.
Well, you can't get the Michelle Obama love if you the nigga that's sleeping on the bench outside of the White House and you ain't trying to be Barack.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? But dudes be wanting you to be Michelle.
But you know what? That's the guy that's getting
they the
girls.
bum dude
You know who's
on the
getting
bench.
girls? At the club, the guy who's popping bottles, not the guy who owns a Prius. I'm outside like, yo, I have a law degree and a perfect credit score. And it's like, oh, I'm a good looking girl.
Well,
I'm gonna go with this drug dealer.
You
nigga.
align with the right one then, because we out
yeah,
here,
because
y'all out
I'm
here.
sorry, we're out here.
Well, I Steph Curry
them bitches. I don't even know those kind of females. So
We out here. We out here.
Yeah.
Just like it's good men out here. I think it's amazing men out here. I have
Absolutely.
amazing men in my family. My dad, my brothers, my parents been together for
Aren't they all
46
married?
years. Yes. But it also, again, what you were saying earlier with the focal point, like we have a Southern upbringing. So
Yeah.
in the South, people get married young. They go to school, they do whatever, but then they start their careers and they build families. So it is a different mentality. I like the best of both worlds. Like, build your purpose and also let's get it together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's far and few in between out here because it's a lot more selfishness in this world right now.
George, what do you want from a woman?
He wants Chanel.
We're going to save that for the next show.
He wants Chanel.
You get in trouble. Look, real quick, we do have to go over this H&M monkey, coolest monkey in the jungle situation,
God.
especially since your people did this. Let's talk
My
to you.
people? Hold on.
In the UK. This was H&M in the UK.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, oh, okay.
Your,
I thought-
well, actually,
the
when I-
company's Swedish.
Your people.
And okay,
No,
but it
don't
was
be
H&M
Swedish
UK.
now. Don't be Swedish now.
I am
UK.
not Swedish.
East London.
Okay.
Okay. So, and let's be real. The UK is the reason the world is the way it is. So taking that a step further. So the H&M debacle is, of course, there's a young black child in a hoodie. It's green. It's a very nice hoodie, actually. It says, but it says coolest monkey in the jungle. And then what makes it even worse is that there's a white child and his says boss of all niggers or something. It says something like that.
says king of the jungle. It said king of the
monkeys
jungle,
in the
guys.
jungle, I own all of them. It says something.
Said king of the
Say,
jungle.
it's-
Survivor. It didn't say king. It said like master. It said, thanks, Martin. It said master survivor or something like that.
I'm pretty sure it said
Master. I don't
think they
monkeys
said
are
it
my
had
slaves.
master
I'm
in
96%
Yeah, it didn't have the word
I
am
don't
your
know
master.
what it
master.
said.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Monkeys are my
I'm
slaves.
gonna pull it up.
No, but it just says survivor of the jungle. The point is, this has become a problem. H&M obviously apologized, but several artists,
I'm looking
including
this up,
G-Eazy and The Weeknd, have cut their ties. Nicki Minaj has followed suit. Like, what do you guys think about this situation?
Definitely bad marketing. I'm like, who passed this? Like, who agreed? There was so many other things. Actually, from what I heard, the mother responded and she said that she didn't see a problem with it. So it really stems from her.
It's not just her, but yeah, which was
Oops, sorry.
which was also crazy because she said that she had experience being called a monkey before, and she thought that she reacted the same way the world was reacting, but she didn't think it was an issue in this top, which is crazy to me. I don't understand. Brainwashing will do that to
Could've
you.
been the money,
However, ain't nothing that white people do anymore surprise me. I don't have any time or energy to be angry about everything unless we can take them down. Like, what's the power move?
Not
What's
you,
the-
though. You
not
look-
specifically. I'm talking
Martin's
about.
actually half black. His dad's black, his mom's
we're
Not
like,
you though.
more Martin.
No,
Yeah, because
no.
Martin could never say the word nigga. Like, he could never say it.
Never. We don't want to take you down.
But I mean, in a sense of the power structure that
Sure.
is creating all these situations. Because okay, you do that and you're sorry. Okay, you're sorry. Okay, you're sorry. It's great. Like, that does nothing for me. But you want me to sit here and be angry? Like, that does nothing either. So all I can do is focus on my people, what we can do to build ourselves and our brand and make our money. And I think the bigger issue is this. We like to spend a lot of money on these white brands, especially when you get a little corny, like, oh, I got to get my Gucci, my Louis Vuitton, my this, that, and the other, my this, all the white big car brands and all the thousands of dollars you want to give back to the white people that don't like you, but then you're mad when they do shit like this. It doesn't make any sense to me.